is Elizabeth from Elvis Astrology at elvisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me for my first extended video that I've ever done. I felt that this transit of Neptune trining the North Nodes in Cancer was very important for us to individually understand how it's going to play out in your chart. As I mentioned in my main video, the reason for that is because this Neptune in Pisces, which is at 18 degrees, will go retrograde at 18 degrees at the first solar new moon eclipse in Cancer at 10 degrees. That's at 10 degrees, the actual eclipse itself. And that'll be on the 2nd of July. So a big portal is going to be open to us at this time for us to individually get, as well as collectively, that's all of mankind, get on our path of destiny, especially as it relates to our home, our tribe, where we feel safe, where we feel secure, where we just really feel that this is me, this is where I belong, right? So think about that. That's pretty far reaching. All right, so a trine is a very favorable aspect, but not many astrologers discuss this, but a trine is a very fast moving, kind of rapid type energy. So you're probably going to be having a lot of things come in the latter half of May, but know that this transit certainly does stay in effect throughout most of the summer. It's just that we have that retrograde happening at the total eclipse at the beginning of July, and it'll only be at 18 degrees exact. So the exact trine is really going to be for the latter half of May. So what I want you to do is to keep open to new people coming in, events that happen, synchronistic events, opportunist events, unexpected events even, but people, place, events, things, places, these are all going to be featured with regards to the North Nodes of the Moon. So they bring in things like this. And the most important thing they bring in is change. And the change in this case, as I mentioned earlier, not to be repetitive, but it's all about our home, where we feel at home, where we feel safe and secure. So this is an important thing to have as a base in our life. That's why I'm doing this video. I'm going to go through all the astrological signs. I do want you to read for your ascendant if at all possible. If you do not have your chart, email me and I can send you your chart. I'm not necessarily going to be reading all your chart and giving you the information, but I can give you a copy of your chart. You can also go to astro.com as well. So as a reminder, Neptune is a 164-year cycle. It takes that long to go around the sun. So this then says this is a once-in-a-lifetime event for all of us, right? I don't know anybody who's lived to 164 years. Okay, so this eclipse that's going to happen on the 2nd of July, and I will cover this in depth. I'll do a separate video on this. So I'm just going to touch on a few points regarding this. On the 2nd of July, we'll be action-oriented. So those doors will open up and we're going to walk through. The problem, or the sticky part of it, is that Neptune goes retrograde on that same day at 18 degrees. So what's going to happen is the training wheels will come off and be released, and we will have to have faith and trust that we are going on the right path, right? That's the issue, because we're going to be doubting at that time. But if we can prepare ourselves through investing time and energy to, in our spiritual side of ourselves, depending what house Neptune falls in and how it actually trines, and what house it trines in your for your North Nodes in Cancer, will be specific to individually. If we look at where Saturn was last at this point, where Neptune is at, we see that it's 1994 through April 1996. So for those that are old enough, look back to those years and see what lessons were thrown up for you, because they're now coming home to bring you to a higher level, okay? So see what, I know what was happening for me around that time, a number of things. One of them was actually moving to San Diego, which was probably the most monumentous thing I could have happened in my life, and for my children. So look back to those years for those that actually are old enough to do that. But Neptune, whatever house it is in, this is what I want you to bear in mind, is asking us to let go of our ego. So this is one of the most crucial things to keep in mind. Got to let go of my ego in this particular house, this particular area of my life. I mainly follow evolutionary astrology, and one of the big concepts about evolutionary astrology is about both going away from source, you know, that high energy in the universe, or God, some of us call it God, and also making our way back to it. So this is even a more important time, certainly from an evolutionary standpoint of our soul, that we are going home, right? So an important time. What else do I need to tell you? So this is an unedited version. I'm just going straight off the cuff to give you whatever I can that's going to help you. The house that North Node is going to be in is where destiny is to be found, especially as it pertains to going home. Who's our tribe? Who do we most feel is our family? And it may not be our natural family, although we may have to somehow incorporate parts of our family during this transit of the North Nodes in Cancer. Okay. It also pertains to the heart. So the heart is highlighted here, very much how I feel emotionally. And one of the reasons for that is that Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, which is all about love. So we're always trying to aim for the highest level of love. And of course, that's what Neptune is. So that's the association here with love. So it's all about loving ourselves, loving where we are, right? And loving those around us. All right, we're going to start off with Aries. Aries, you have Neptune in your 12th house. So this is the house of surrender. Neptune actually rules Pisces, which is ruled by the 12th house. So Pisces and Neptune are associated with the 12th house. This is all about surrendering. I would say here that a meditation practice, communing with nature, if you don't necessarily have a meditation practice, communing with nature can be part of a meditation practice, even having your feet on the ground. So I'm trying to give everyone many options depending on what you're able to do or want to do. The metaphysical is certainly highlighted here. You know, taking up yoga would be great at this time. If you are inclined to take a trip to an ashram or a yoga retreat in India, perfect at this time to do that. What we're trying to do is to open up Aries' spirituality and to let go of ego. So that's what you're trying to do, and you're trying to do it through these types of practices. And I hear my dog Sammy going for the bowls again, so I apologize. On my main video, I put pictures of both my dogs so you can have a smile regarding that. Now, Aries, you have the North Nodes in Cancer in your 4th house of home. So this is where your destiny is. And to me, this more relates to who truly is my tribe, right? It goes back to your roots. Are your roots supporting who your family, your real tribe is at this point? Because that's the destiny path you're supposed to be going on, is developing that part so that it better reflects who you are. You know, the 4th house also represents, in many ways, our home of ourselves, right? Our individual selves. So it could be also be more comfortable in ourselves. When we think of what's the animal associated with Cancer, and it is the crab. So the crab carries its home on its back. So it could be also to do with you. Who am I most comfortable with being? And that's part of your destiny for the next while as an Aries. For Taurus, your 11th house is where Neptune is. The 11th house is groups, friends. It's also where your hopes and wishes are. And so here we're asking you to let go of your ego with regards to your friends and the groups that you belong to, but also with regards to your hopes and wishes. And how that plays out is you have your hopes and wishes, Maybe you write them down, maybe you have a vision board, and you kind of let them go. You don't put all this energy into, I have to have my hopes and wishes come true. The trick here with Neptune in the 11th house of hopes and wishes is to trust that the universe will bring that in for you. The only job you're to do is to ensure what those actual hopes and wishes are, okay? And so it's to let go of ego in your friends and groups. Are you controlling your friends and groups too much? Again, take that view from a distance. You know, we talk about that 1,000-foot or 10,000-foot view of where you are and looking at yourself. That's a difficult thing to do, I know. But if you can even try for a few seconds to look at yourself and see how you're performing in groups and friends, and your hopes and wishes, are you way too obsessed about it and not being confident to let them go and believe that they'll come true? That's part of the things you're supposed to be doing right now. So the North Nodes is in your 3rd house, which is communication. So ultimately, this is supposed to be you getting on the path of being the expert that people seek out. And it's expressing your opinions without the sanction of others. So it is you being confident that you know the right things to say, and you have the information, right? 3rd house, lots of information in there. Ruled by Gemini. Speaking of Gemini, Gemini has Neptune in the 10th house of career and long-term goals to get to that career. So here it's pretty simple for these Geminis. Being of service to others is important, okay? To serve is to rule. I'm sure you've heard of that saying. But these are the important activities you can do right now. That doesn't mean you're not supposed to be, if you're a manager, taking care of your employees and managing them. It's just reflect every day on how am I serving these people, not how am I telling them what to do. This will set up a dynamic for you around this eclipse in July to manifest where your North Nodes are. And your North Nodes are in your 2nd house. So this is saying, asking you to be creative and artistic in your career, expressing the real you inside, especially from this artistic standpoint. And also your values are involved here too, but Venus rules this 2nd house, and it's all about beauty, creativity, and artistic type things, right? So this is where you're heading towards, so bear that in mind. This can play out in many different professions. Cancer, your 9th house, and potentially your midheaven has Neptune here. So you're earmarked as one of the signs that stand out this year with regards to destiny and things really happening to you. This is spreading spiritual information into the collective, reaching far and wide, and it may also involve teaching. So this could be you doing what I'm doing right now, right? I am certainly speaking from a spiritual standpoint, from what I hope is a high level, trying to open up our higher consciousness. And so that's the type of thing we're talking about with regards to the midheaven being involved. Many people who don't necessarily know you personally, seeing you and hearing you speak of these things. Now you can also do it in a 9th house setting, which is teaching. It's also dealing with foreign people and foreign things, so it could be that is involved as well. But it's you spreading your higher level of consciousness to other people. That may be just on a day-to-day basis with your friends and your co-workers. If you don't work, your friends. Now, your North Node is obviously in Cancer, so your ascendant is also involved here, and your 1st house. So the 1st house is all about you. When you have something happening on your ascendant, pretty well does say something fairly big is going to happen in your life, even if it's only a shift in the way you think about spiritual things specifically. It's where you express who you are. You are going to be probably changing maybe your home, who you are. This could be changing up, you know, the clothes you wear, the makeup, everything, to present yourself better as who you really are and who you feel comfortable with within yourself. All right? So I mentioned that this is about the home, coming home. But for Cancers, this does represent you too, your home around you. So that's your clothes you wear, your body, the way it looks, the hair looks, your face looks, all those things, the way you present yourself. New things are coming up in all those areas. And as I said, also, it could also include your home. You may change that too. This is really extra important for you, as you know, you've got the opposition of Pluto and Saturn working hard to have you let go of past ways of doing you. I actually have my ascendant in Cancer too, so keep an eye on these videos and see how I change. Hopefully I will just evolve to be better. With Leo, Neptune is in your 8th house. So this is asking you to explore the metaphysical side and possibly the psychological side of yourself. So this could be something as simple as, you know, taking up psychological counseling, or even reading about different ways of maybe being a more positive person, to reading Eckhart Tolle, for instance, or the I Ching might be of interest to you. It may give you some enlightenment. That's the idea here, is to bring you to a higher level of consciousness within your psychological self. It can also be a time of, you know, working hard at letting go of past hurts and things that maybe in your childhood were not that great. Again, going back to maybe getting into some therapy, or at least reading some very good books that help you understand and deal with these types of things in your life. You could also consider using your resources for altruistic means. Now, that doesn't mean going to take out all your savings or your joint savings and you know, giving it all to children in need. But it does say, if you've ever thought of giving some of your resources, and that could be your time is a resource too, to some altruistic need, like children in need, or even animals in need, this would help this aspect of the trine with the north nodes. It's going to help you manifest your north nodes in the 12th house. So this is like a high level. Your 12th house will really talk about you spreading spiritual message, you really delving into the spiritual aspects of life, even maybe at the highest level being a guru. But you know, service-oriented activity may be on the cards for you. And that means, you know, working in hospitals, prisons, bringing faith and hope to people. That's Leo. Virgo, your 7th house is where Neptune is at. And intuitively, I had two things come to mind. So inspiration at the highest level is what you want to be giving to your partnerships, whether it's business or your actual partners that you're married to. But I also thought there's a possibility that there's deception going on in the 7th house here for you. Because Neptune has two sides. At its highest level, it's the highest level of spirituality, it's inspiration, that type of thing. But it can also be deception in partnership. So it can go either way here, you being deceptive or you being inspirational. And the key here is to be inspirational and to put some real spiritual aspects into both business and love partnerships at this time. The key is, again, to remove the ego from business partnerships or from marriage partnerships. Look up from the treetops and see how are you performing in these partnerships, and correct that so that the ego isn't running the show, that instead you're encouraging and have inspirational and spiritual type of messages and thoughts towards these partnerships. That will help you, lead you to manifesting your destiny around the eclipse in July with the North Nodes in your 11th house. So this has you working more now with friends and groups. It also is about your hopes and wishes too. So this could be a true time of you manifesting your hopes and wishes. I would say also, because there's double water here happening for you, I would say meditating by water might be a good thing, just to keep in touch. Even using the shower if you're, land-bound and are not near water. It can also all initiate this whole idea of you feeling at home with regards to your friends and your groups that you belong to, as well as your hopes and wishes being manifested. When we look at Libra, that's your 6th house, is where Neptune is at. So this is really a service-oriented type of activity you need to undertake in your day-to-day job. And it also brings, asking you to bring inspiration to the job. Neptune says, please bring inspiration, hope, and positive messages into your job. It may also be a time where you view your body as a temple, right? Body's a temple to the soul. That type of thing might be useful to keep in mind for all Librans. That type of attitude will help bring that energy of the trine with the North Node, which is in the 10th house. So that's about your career. This may lead to you having a career at home or working in a home-focused profession. That could be real estate. But with Neptune involved, it could also be shamanism at home. Have you been thinking about doing something like this? Or feng shui? It's also about you clearing homes spiritually, whatever that means to you. For Scorpio, Neptune's in your 5th house. So this is just true inspiration through creativity. Children could be involved as well. Providing, if you are working with children or have children, giving them true inspiration would be very useful to make this aspect work for you. You could decide to manifest or start creating, adding to your own spiritual business. Your own business is all about the 5th house too. The North Node is in your 9th house. And so this is teaching generally. It's working with foreign people or foreign countries. It's helping these people potentially find their own home. So this could be you getting involved in teaching people how to feel more comfortable in their own home, or as I mentioned before, in their own home of themselves. With Sagittarius, Neptune is in your 4th house. Spiritualizing the home, literally, or yourself. So this goes back to that what I spoke to earlier. Feng shuiing your home, saging all over your home. Maybe you've not done that for a while. Putting crystals in your home. This type of activity is going to help promote that wonderful rapid energy of the trine to your North Nodes. And your North Nodes are in your 8th house. So that's working with others on deep issues. It's intuitive healing. It could be a shamanic practice. It's also any kind of resources. So, but it's bringing a spiritual element into it, or a view of positivity. When we look at Capricorn, so Capricorn's the other sign that is earmarked for this year and beyond, into next year, with the North Node staying in Cancer. So Capricorn, you have Neptune in your 3rd house. So this is asking you, through your intuition, connecting with Source, the universe, God. So consider setting up a consistent meditation practice to receive universal downloads of information. Kind of as simple as that. Those types of activities are going to help activate this trine to set off that North Node at that eclipse in July. Your North Node is in the 7th house of partnerships. So new or renewed partnerships may be on the cards for you. And especially since you've got Pluto, Saturn, and the South Nodes in your opposites line, I would say that there's going to be a pull here where there has to be change in your partnerships, whether it is your business partnerships, any partnerships that you have, and anywhere where you sign a contract. There has to be some change. Doesn't mean it has to go out the window, but there's going to be a lot of tension there where change will be required. And the key is to work with connecting your intuition and with source for messages that perhaps you could use that would facilitate you having a better partnership, business or otherwise. When we look at Aquarius, the 2nd house is where Neptune is at. So this is developing spiritual values and understanding your worth as it relates to money and seeing beauty in everything. So this would be when you can, stop and smell the roses. I know it's not possible to completely change around the way you think and the way you do things, but just keep these in the back of your mind so when the opportunity presents yourself and there's a beautiful rose there, that you just stop and smell it. That action will help you, all right, with this trine aspect to the North Nodes, manifest your destiny at this time. It's also about you valuing yourself. So it's you saying, I deserve to have that extra money, or I deserve that money, period, for the work that I'm doing. So value systems, a value of yourself, and don't forget value of others at the same time is very important to pay attention to. Your North Node's in the 6th month, so 6th house rather. You will, your destiny path at this point in time is really caring for others in your day-to-day job. So creating a home maybe would be great for your nutrition and exercise program. Or you may develop a home for people to actually, get good health, eat right, exercise right. Maybe you'll even do it on a YouTube setting, or on your Facebook or Instagram. You can do all these things that way. It could be healthcare, but it could be animal care too. So wherever health and nutrition, wherever you really want to, again, use this temple, your body as a temple, promoting that type of thing is in the cards for you to provide others as well as yourself. So the last sign is Pisces. And of course, Pisces is where Neptune is. And Pisces have had quite the journey with Neptune here. Neptune stays for around 7 years, sometimes a lot, sometimes more. And so Pisces has really had a lot of toing and froing with regards to things being there and then not being there. What's real and what's not real. So for you, this is Neptune's in your 1st house. I would say for you, the number one thing is to develop a spiritual practice that represents who you are. Forget about what other people think. This is about my spirituality and how this helps me be a better person inside and out. It's relinquishing the ego here though too. So even being by water, because you're a water sign, is important for you to activate this trine. And listening to your intuition is of paramount. But at the same time, you do need to protect yourself against psychic vampires. I would say, just going back to this whole get a meditative practice in some kind of form that you try to do on a daily basis. Now, I always say meditation can be as simple as going for a solo walk with your dogs in the forest, or by the ocean, or you going by the ocean or a lake or a stream, or going into the forest on your own and not really having any thoughts in your head. That's a form of meditation. Putting your feet on the earth for a few minutes is a form of meditation. Okay? So don't beat yourself up if you don't know how to meditate or you don't think you know how to meditate. All right? Certainly things sound oriented would be nice too. So maybe even just listening to some nice music on your own would be beneficial. If you're into crystal bowls, singing crystal bowls, those are awesome around this time, as well as the Tibetan brass bowls. So you could always look into that as something you could develop. But your north nodes are in your 5th house. So this is about creating a home full of creativity and joy. So that's your destiny path for the next while. It may be a child is brought into this. You may have a child that brings you a lot of joy and creativity at this time. You know, whether you have one right now or one's coming into your life, that could be a possibility too. But all this that you're doing coming up next on your destiny is all about expressing your inner authentic self. So that's the idea of the meditation that I want you to take up now, is so that your destiny path, where you get this eclipse happening in July, opening a door for you, it's opening the door for you for your authentic self. You want to do a little bit of work prior to the eclipse, doing that meditation practice, so that you can have a lot of creativity, but more importantly, a lot of joy in your life. You deserve it. Well, that's it for me for this extended video. I've really enjoyed doing this. I'd like to leave this as an open conversation. I will be putting timestamps on this in the comment section, whether it's on my website or on my Facebook, so you can go straight to the timestamps if you want to go back to them and listen to them again at a future time. Thank you for joining me. Like I said, I'd like this to be a conversation. Let me know how you make out between now and the eclipse, as well as after the eclipse. I really enjoy hearing from you. Take care of yourselves. We're on a journey together. Don't forget that.